Hello and welcome also from my side. My name is Klaus-Peter Sauer and I work for SAP in the product management team for SAP Datasphere. Today I'm going to talk about Datasphere and the evolution towards a business data fabric. So in the session here, we look a little closer what Datasphere is about, what the new product means, especially since the launch in March this year. And one of the major features there is the Analytic Model as a new core modeling artifact for multidimensional and rich data modeling capabilities. So we will have a closer look at that one today. And at the end, I will also give you a brief outlook on what we have in the pipeline for new functionality for the next months to come. But let's have a look at Datasphere overall first. So when talking about data and analytics, it is clear that you need some kind of technology, and of course you need the data, right? But is that all what's really needed? So more importantly, you also need the data context. So the metadata, the semantics, which describe the data and make the data meaningful, right? This is really fundamental. This is also a major challenge with the ever-growing number of new systems. So these are mainly cloud-based systems, while oftentimes the on-prem sources remain, and the complexity that just adds up over time. Moreover, we also see different needs for business and IT users, where the business wants more and more self-service capabilities and real-time access to data. On the other hand, IT requires centralized governance, simplification of the overall landscape, and it's hard to bring together. Moving really towards this business data fabric, Datasphere already addresses these topics today with built-in semantics, governance, the capability to create and manage data products, the self-service capabilities with data modeling, data sharing, data integration, and of course, the great integration with SAP Analytics Cloud for consuming the data, but also planning capabilities. If you look at this layered architecture diagram here, you see in the different layers these features, capabilities I just talked about being represented. And of course, we can consume data from SAP systems, but also from non-SAP systems. Might it be data warehouses on-premise or in the cloud, lakehouses, relational databases, structured, semi-structured data, right, to make that available for data consumers with their tooling. So in Datasphere, everything starts with a space. So spaces, that's a secured area created by an administrator typically, right, in which members can acquire, prepare, and model data. So these spaces, they provide isolation for metadata objects and the space resources. So you see here, storage RAM can be managed per space. You can define the storage quota and control that resource usage, also make some workload class settings per space. You can manage the user access for specific space members, as we call them. So you can define who should be member of a space and who should be able to do what on such a space. Also enabling connections is space dependent, so you can define what kind of connection should be available in a particular space. And also we have like a common time dimension which can be enabled per space. There's also the capabilities to enable the sharing of data and other settings within a space, and of course the core piece is a space contains all the tables, views, data flows, replication flows, whatever you might have within a space. So how could that look like? So you could divide or set up spaces in all different sorts of ways. For example, for specific finance topics, create a finance space, connect several systems to it. For sales, for HR, very sensitive data usually, right, which you want to control. And for other projects, line of business topics, whatever, right? And with the sharing capability, these spaces could potentially exchange data between each other if you want to allow that, and so to foster really collaboration on such a system. If we look at connectivity, there are different ways to connect data to SAP Datasphere. First of all, there are of course built-in connectors we deliver out of the box with the solution. Then we have a capability called the data marketplace, where external data providers could provide you with external data, but the marketplace is also something which could be used internally. So for your internal data sharing, creation of data products, provide those data products to your users in your own tenant, or being able to connect in a private manner to other companies with their own tenants to share data in a private mode without being available on such a public marketplace, which is also the other option. Very interesting. So another option is open connectors, which is an API-based framework where we can connect to various cloud-based systems, usually using this API technology. This is located on the BTP platform. Then for our BW community, there's also the BW Bridge capability built in there. So an ABAP stack optionally in Datasphere available, specifically if you want to reuse investments you done in your on-prem BW systems, right, and don't want to rebuild everything. This is a quite good capability. Also being able to connect via the extractors to older ECC releases that has these capabilities. And last but not least, of course, external tooling. So meaning if you have existing ETL tools in your landscape with existing flows and transformations, right, you could use them. If they can write it to a SAP HANA Cloud endpoint, you could connect them to Datasphere and use them. So if we look a little closer on the connections itself, right? So we offer a bunch of applications from our own portfolio. So S/4HANA, obviously, in both on-prem as well as cloud-based versions. ECC, there's a generic ABAP connector in there, which could connect to any sort of ABAP-based systems. Then, of course, also BW systems, BW for HANA. For that, we offer a specific model transfer capability, HANA and HANA Data Lake, HANA Data Lake files, as well other cloud-based systems like SuccessFactors, Fieldglass, Marketing Cloud are available. Then we offer database connectivity to, as mentioned, HANA on-prem as well as cloud-based versions, Oracle, SQL Server, and other generic capabilities like generic JDBC or SFTP connectivity. There's a generic OData interface, of course, local files, and generic cloud data integration. Then in the area of hyperscaler and cloud applications, right? So there's a whole variety on services we can connect to on Google, Microsoft Azure, Amazon, and the likes. So there are usually connectors to all the different data lake storages, the cloud storages of these hyperscalers, as well as some of the specialized data applications they are offering. And then the external tool support, as I mentioned, of course, we're supporting our own tooling here with data intelligence, with data services, SDI, SLT, but also partner solutions. Some of them have their own dedicated connection tiles, but not all of them, right? So they can be connected via the SQL interface here, where, as I said before, if they can connect to a SAP HANA Cloud endpoint, they could also connect and bring in and provide data to Datasphere. That connectivity is available. Then if we look at the different options we have from a virtual access or persistence capability, right? So there is the concept of remote tables in Datasphere, where you can enable virtual access using remote table federation, right? So there is no upfront data movement available. Federation is supported for a variety of sources, not all of them. So you can check that on our documentation, but for a majority of sources, this is there. So leaves the data in the source system, accesses it remotely in real time when needed. What you can do in addition with these remote tables is switch to a replicated access. So meaning you can create snapshots of data or enable real-time replication if the source supports that, right? You could schedule that those snapshots, for example, via task chains. In addition to persistency on that low level, on that inbound layer, right? You could also persist views. If you have various views in your modeling, you could persist them, so materializing the output results of these views in a stable persistence, which could also be scheduled if you want to have that regularly refreshed. And on the other hand, next to these remote tables, there are other options available here, which are more classical data integration topics like data flows, which support batch loads and transformations to load data into Datasphere, so physically moving data into Datasphere, and also another newly introduced capability here with the replication flow. And the replication flow is also something we introduced in March with the Datasphere release here. Focus being mass data replication from selected sources to selected targets. So really focusing on a one-to-one mass data replication with maybe some simple projections, filters, but maybe mainly moving multiple data sets. So that's the indication here on the graphic. It's just not one table or artifact which can be replicated. It could be multiple in one replication flow. Also moving data into different targets here. What you see is that we support also initial as well as delta loading capabilities and different sources with S/4HANA on-prem as well as cloud-based versions, the business suite, HANA Cloud as well as HANA on-prem, BW and BW for HANA, and also Microsoft Azure SQL as sources for these replication flow. And on the target side, of course, Datasphere is one of the targets here for replication flows, HANA Cloud as well as HANA on-prem, and HANA Data Lake files. So more targets will also be supported later this year. So, but I will come to that at the end when we talk about the outlook. You also see some partnerships mentioned here with Confluent, Google, and Databricks. So with the launch in March, we also announced a number of partnerships. And these partnerships, these strategic partnerships, clearly also underline our strategy towards openness. So being able to integrate with external tools, which a lot of companies are already using today. So each of these strategic partner brings a unique capability and strength and their ecosystem, of course, to the table. So, for example, with Databricks integrating into their data lakehouse platform and their AI capabilities, Collibra with their great cataloging solution and governance capabilities, Confluent with their focus on data in motion and streaming, real-time event streaming, Data Robot with their AutoML capabilities and focus on AI and ML, Google, of course, well known for their vast application in the cloud here with their own cloud storage, so their customers are then being able to build end-to-end data solutions here across their entire enterprise landscape using the different capabilities what Google and we offer on the Datasphere side here with AI, cloud storage, the BigQuery solution, etc. So looking at Collibra, right, there is a bidirectional metadata exchange planned with Datasphere and the Datasphere catalog. So the catalog in Datasphere that really focuses on SAP source systems. And today we already support SAP Analytics Cloud and SAP Datasphere. This is planned to be extended next year with additional systems like S4HANA, BW for HANA, ECC, HANA, and others maybe. So the Collibra catalog exchange can therefore add more metadata from external systems which are connected to Collibra and to have a more complete metadata governance overview. So more innovations, what you also see here on the slide, are planned with the cataloging solutions about workflows, notifications, column level lineage, so really going into details, what has changed, what comes where, and of course more enhanced modeling integration. So another major feature we delivered with the launch in March is the Analytic Model. And let's take some time today to look at this a little more closer. So the Analytic Model in general is really a semantically rich core model in Datasphere, which offers multidimensional and very rich analytical modeling capabilities with a good focus here on modeling efficiencies, that you're quite fast in developing these models. And what we also offer with this solution is an instant preview capability, so you don't have to connect another consumption tool in order to be able to see how the model looks like, or the data looks like, which you just have modeled here. So this built-in analytical preview capability is really rich, and we will show you that also in the demo in a few minutes here, with having capabilities like filtering, pivoting, having a look at the hierarchy usage, and so you really can directly analyze that. Another benefit of it, since we are fully integrated with this model type, also with SAP Analytics Cloud, really understanding all the details, all the features, functions directly. We're using basically the same component in the background for this preview functionality like what SAP Analytics Cloud uses. So same kind of rendering of the data, and so you see exactly what you will also see on the Analytics Cloud side here in this preview functionality, since we have this quite tight integration between the two. So how should this analytic model be used, since we already have quite a good number of modeling artifacts, capabilities in Datasphere here? If you look at graphical views or SQL views, they have a lot of different semantical usage types, right? So you also see that reflected here on the page with, you can model hierarchy, semantic types, dimensions, text. Quite recently, we added the concept of facts, right? And there's the analytical data set. So this analytic model should really be the central part and the central connectivity part for ready to consume artifact in SAP Analytics Cloud. So providing this multi-dimensional and in the future, hopefully soon, also multi-fact modeling capability, serving here for these analytical purposes. And in the underlying model or also in the analytic model, you can have the measure definitions, right? So you can have them predefined in your fact model already, reusing the hierarchies, filters, parameters, the associations you have there, and really maximize the reuse of those source objects. You don't have to remodel everything, and really getting you better control of the output here in this model. And for the BW audience here, people with BW background, so you could compare the analytical model in a sense to what you knew from like the OLAP cubes, the info cubes in BW in former days here. It's not exactly the same, but in that kind of thinking. So if we look a little more in detail on those core features, functions, which we have already built in, so starting with the first delivery, but also we delivered a lot of functionality in the last few months with the different releases. We have here capability to create calculated and restricted measures. A few weeks ago, we delivered also the feature of constant selection, which some of you might know from BW. A very valuable feature here. Also stuff like exception aggregation, pruning of attributes and measures, nested dimensions. So what you see here in the screenshot, also you cannot just go one level deeper, but also have really stacking of different tables and dimensions here. We're supporting compound keys and time dependency for dimensions and text. Currency conversion, very important in international business usually, so that you're able to do this directly here in the model. Multidimensional analytical preview, talked about it already. And the repository integration is of course there, that you can benefit from other repository services which are already in Datasphere for quite some time, with the impact and lineage analysis, the import-export capability for models, change management, transports, etc. And what we also offer here is in the analytical data set, you find a migration capability. There is a link embedded now in the meantime where you can create, based on your analytical data set, automatically a analytic model, so you really help you transfer your existing models easily into the new feature. So let's have a look at the analytical model in action. So that is where I invited my colleague Jan Fetzer to give you a quick overview of all the areas. So Jan, over to you.
The analytic model in SAP Datasphere supports multidimensional and semantically rich analytic modeling to answer business questions easier, faster, and more efficiently. To create an analytic model, launch the Data Builder in SAP Datasphere and choose Create. First, we need to choose which data source to put into the center of the analysis. The data source contains all measures and contains associations to other analytic entities, like here product, opportunity, or controlling area. For each of them, we can decide which other reachable entities we might want to include into the model, like details about the product manager or about the expected closing date of the opportunity. Analytic models allow users to add custom calculations, like, for example, average price, defined as value over quantity. We can add restricted measures or complex calculations, like count distinct, or measures that leverage exception aggregation. Let's add, for example, a counter for products with value greater than 1 million in revenue. Modelers can diligently create the user experience of their colleagues by also deciding what data to collect from end users via prompts. Collected data can be used for calculations, filtering, or for time dependency. As an example, let's filter the current report on the controlling area of the user. Modelers can preview the result of their modeling efforts at all times. By choosing Preview in the upper right corner, the current model is launched and can be inspected. As expected, the filtering dialog comes up. Let's filter on SAP SE for now. On the initial screen, all measures are highlighted. The preview allows for rich slice and dice, for filtering, for adjustment of the presentation itself, or for choosing the hierarchy defined on the data. Let's deploy our object and inspect its relationship to other objects in SAP Datasphere. As a first-class citizen of the design time repository of SAP Datasphere, the Analytic Model enjoys full integration into value-adding tools like the impact and lineage analysis shown, change management in the edit tools, as well as transportability via the Analytics Content Network. As a final step, let's launch the SAP Analytics Cloud and see how data consumers would experience the Analytic Model. We create a new story of type optimized design experience and add the Analytic Model as a data source. SAC now reads the metadata of the Analytic Model and, as expected, prompt the user to filter on controlling area, and again we choose SAP SE as the controlling area of interest. If we now add a new story widget, like a table for example, the Analytic Model measures are automatically shown. As in SAP Datasphere, we can now use any of the model dimensions for drill down. If we choose the product manager, for example, its hierarchy is also leveraged automatically. As you saw, the Analytic Model in SAP Datasphere allows modelers to leverage the rich semantics to prepare a multidimensional consumption model that makes it easy for business users to get their questions answered easily, fast, and efficiently.
So thank you, Jan, for the great demo. And let's move on. Here, I wanted to bring up another topic here in context of the analytical model, because a lot of you might already know the modeling in Datasphere and might ask yourself, what happened to the analytical dataset now that the analytic model arrived? So can I still use that kind of artifact? What happens behind the scenes? Because if you look in the system today, you find the deprecation message shown if you want to use the data set. So the artifact, so the semantic usage type of an analytical data set is deprecated, but it can still be used. We have several customers who are also using it further for various reasons, but for future modeling activities, we really recommend that you use now the new fact model instead of the analytical data set. So we will not remove it immediately from the system. It will be there for quite some time. We have no plans as of today to remove it, but we also encourage you, as I said earlier, to migrate your analytical data set to facts. And the necessary steps how to do that, we documented in this link. And also some people ask about what is the difference of the fact model. Is it a one-to-one replacement? It's not a one-to-one replacement. It's, yeah, for some parts it really replaces this relational SQL part, but not the multidimensional cube part. That's what the analytic model, which we talked about just a few minutes ago, is for, to be consumed with Analytics Cloud. So the analytical data set is not completely replaced because the fact model that cannot be directly consumed in Analytics Cloud. That's where you need the analytic model. If you want more details, I wrote a quite detailed blog about the different aspects of this on the SAP community. Feel free to look at it, check it out here. I put the link also on the slide here. And then let's have a look forward, right? What's the outlook? What's coming? That's always interesting for everyone, what we have in the pipeline, what we're currently working on. And if we take the analytic model as a first example here, there are a lot of stuff which we have in the pipeline here. So first of all, we want to provide stacking. So currently, stacking is not possible, that you can use an analytical model as a basis for another analytic model. So that is, or will be hopefully soon supported, right? That we have these reusable building blocks which you can stack. Another topic, and I think I mentioned this at the beginning somewhere, is multi-fact modeling. We currently offer that kind of capability in the business layer with fact modeling and consumption modeling. There, we also want to provide this in the analytic model. That will very likely happen next year. Stacking, hopefully, we can make it available already this year in 2023. So multifact is another important building block we want to provide here, and another one is on the areas of authorization. So to provide increased flexibility and governance, column level lineage, these things, what I also mentioned in the context of the catalog. And last but not least, also offer more and more of the qualities many of you might know from BW, right? So stuff like the different display settings you can have, structures, constant selection. I talked about it. We already support it in the analytic model today. We just delivered that a few weeks ago. What's missing is that we really can bring it over with a conversion approach from BW, that you can reuse it instead of recreating it. So that's something easing the migration really is a point where we're working on, and really to be able to help import these more expressive semantics really built in BW, also make them available here in the analytic model. Another big topic we're working on is really also the semantics in general. So we have a lot of areas where we can import entities from various systems like S4HANA, Cloud or on-prem, BW or BW4HANA systems with the model import, etc. So these kind of functionalities are already there, a little bit proliferated today. You find them in different places, and also we have the content network capability to provide business content based on different options, and also we have the data product capability from the data marketplace, and every of these areas that is using or reusing semantics and make them available, and we want to bring that together in one single entry point, in one single area, so that it all comes together here in an area which we call Semantic Onboarding, which will hopefully make it here in Q4 this year to the system, hopefully around TechEd timeframe. That's the current plan. And so that's a very important point, and we want to further build out that theme on the semantics here within the system to make that valuable information reusable in an easy and scalable way. Some of you might ask yourself now, wow, what is he talking about with semantics? What is it meaning? So let's use an example here with S4HANA, what that really means in our context here. So to preserve that business context between the operational and the analytical world. So use a simple example here with a customer, a product, and an order. So what you get on the data side really is like stuff like quantities, net value, the currency, date, different order items, If you look on the product side, you usually get some kind of ID, product name, description, right, which might be related to a product group, might be product names available in different languages, right? That's more all what you find in different tables on the database or in the ABAP system, right? And if you're talking about the analytical aspect of it, it's really the definition on that a date is really a time aspect of it, right? That these are attributes, that these quantities and net values are measures, so key figures in a sense, which have some kind of aggregation behavior behind it, that you might have hierarchies, for example, here with product groups, that the ID and or the description are IDs and descriptions, right? Language topic, right? That language translation, if you want to make use of such a thing, can be enabled, that depending on the login language, people see the text or the descriptions in different languages. And of course also currencies, right? So multinational companies, you have the need for currency conversion. So bringing that together based on what we get from an operational system like an S4 system, where you have all these data related data points in the system, and what you see then on the other end on the analytics system, where this is displayed in slightly different context, right? So depending on whatever your focus of analytics is, but preserving really this kind of business context. That's what we mean. And that's where Datasphere plays a vital role here, with the different areas, what I mentioned, with the different entity import capabilities, model transfer, etc., what in the future will all come together with the semantic onboarding, as well as with the business content, and then being able to be reused and further built upon with using the analytic model. So that's something what we're working on, and which will come hopefully soon in this first iteration on semantic onboarding, and further will be built out over time. So we looked at replication flows at the beginning a little bit, right? So that's one of the new capabilities which is available today. And of course, we have also additional plans there. One of the plans I indicated at the beginning already is outbound connectivity to non-SAP systems, so meaning data lakes or even streaming systems like Kafka, integration with our strategic partners here like Google, Confluent, Databricks for these replication flows, and then of course also functional enhancements with topics like scheduling, schema evolution, and more. In addition to these replication flows, we also plan for Q4 the introduction of transformation flows. So with that, enabling also more transformation capabilities within database transformation capabilities in the underlying HANA, where you would have transformation capabilities based on SQL, field-based transformations, or even custom logic, right? And what you see here indicated or also is delta capabilities, right? So specifically for larger tables, you don't want to always process all the data, but only the changed data. So the deltas and that kind of capability we will also bring in with this transformation flow capability, that we're able to only take the deltas, process them, move them forward to target, make it, that's of course schedule via task chains and integrated in the whole monitoring aspect of what we have already in Datasphere. So a lot of stuff interesting here on the table for the next months to come. And another interesting aspect is the integration with Analytics Cloud. Well, as I said multiple times, quite tightly integrated already today, but we have additional plans, of course, right? So we introduced some closer integration points and enhance them already this year with like data analyzer support, enriched modeling on that analytic modeling, analytic model, sorry, which I talked about earlier. And end of the year and next year, what we're planning is further enhancing the planning integration, really to reduce data replication or data movement between the stacks, right? Also scheduling is something what we have in mind here. So this journey is going on with additional capabilities, additional functions, and to get an overall overview here on what we're planning. Like always, the Roadmap Explorer is the place to go, where you find all the different items we have in the pipeline, not only for the rest of this year, but also for next year and beyond. If you're looking on additional information, right, there's the community, of course, as the go-to place where we have best practice documents, etc. Just updated a few weeks ago the development guidelines document, for example. So it's always worth a look on the community to check out these things. Learning journey if you want to know more details, and documentation and the other places which are probably well known already. So finally, also TechEd is ahead of us, beginning of November, and there are virtual TechEd sessions. There are a very good number of on-site sessions in Bangalore this year. So the Datasphere related ones are listed on this one pager. If you want to get an overview, we offer a variety of sessions in different areas, also different styles of sessions, lectures, hands-on sessions, and also a jumpstart session if you're interested. This is more beginner level session, which will be made available virtually. The Explore Datasphere from A to Z, DA183, done by myself. And yeah, that brings me to the end of it. If you have questions, feel free to use the chat. And thank you for being here with us today.